physical death does not interrupt our eternal life.
Lazarus! Come out!
Hi, it's Gooseboomer. Let's break down about paintings of Eugene Delacroix. Eugene Delacroix started painting at a challenging time. Apart from the dramatic political changes that brought first the Napoleonic Wars, Napoleon as emperor in 1804, his abdication and exile a decade later, then the Bourbon Restoration, painting was on the change as well. The dominant neoclassical style of Jacques-Louis David was on the wane. With the end of Napoleon's empire, David had been put on the list of proscribed individuals and had gone into self-exile in Brussels. Following his death and the end of 1825, only his heart was allowed to return to France for burial. Delacroix described David's the intervention of the Sabine woman as earthy, bleak and lifeless. Delacroix's teacher from 1815 was Pierre Narcisse Guérin, whose style Delacroix openly disliked. Rubens was his preferred model for his emphasis on color, in contrast to David and Guérin, who rated line and draughtsmanship more highly. Of the older generation, it was perhaps Pierre-Paul Prudhon who had greater appeal, although Delacroix would have been too young to have seen his depiction of Nemesis, injustice and divine vengeance, pursuing crime at the Salon in 1808. Delacroix became an enthusiast for the landscape paintings of John Constable, and they proved influential early in his career, when Constable's The Haywain attracted little attention at the Royal Academy in London and still failed to sell the following year at the British institution. It was the French dealer John Arrowsmith who introduced the British artist's paintings to the French market. On 19 June 1824, after Arrowsmith had bought the Haywain, a view on the Stour near Dedham and the small seascape of Yarmouth Jetty, and exhibited them in Paris. Delacroix studied Constable's technique. As a result, Delacroix hastily repainted his scenes from the massacres at Chio immediately before it was shown at the Salon that year, in which the Haywain was awarded a gold medal. If any single painting proved the greatest inspiration to Delacroix, it was Guericau's huge Draught of the Medusa, and the two artists formed a close friendship that only ended with the early death of Guericau in 1824. Ary Scheffer was another historic painter in the ascendant as Delacroix was establishing himself, although the two overlapped slightly at times, and Berwin was on Scheffer's part. They shared friendship with the declining Guericau, and it was Scheffer's tribute on the death of Theodore Guericau that forms the painted record. Delacroix had great respect for the work of another, more contemporary British painter, Richard Parkes Bonington. Sufficient to share his studio with him, Bonington painted this Noid and Page when they were sharing in early 1826 and left it incomplete with Delacroix when he moved out. As with Guericau, Bonington was to die early, just 2 years later. Léon Cogniet was another important contemporary and friend with whom Delacroix had common ground, as seen in Cogniet's Massacre of the Innocents from 1824. If Delacroix had a rival, it was the senior figure of Jean-Auguste Dominique Anger, with whom he competed for public commissions. Anger first painted Oedipus and the Sphinx in 1808, just 2 years after he had arrived in Rome as the recipient of the Prix de Rome. When sent back to Paris, it was criticized over its treatment of light and lack of idealization in the figures. In 1825, Anger decided to develop it into a more narrative work, which he completed in 1827. This time it was well received. More typical for Unger is his treatment of Ruggiero's Queen Angelica, painted in 1819, depicting the scene from Ariosto's Orlando Furioso. This was purchased for King Louis XVIII and was installed in the Palace of Versailles the following year. I hope you liked this video. See you in the next episode.